It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a weekly podcast where we talk about everything that's great. Like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh, yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name's Chris.
And my name is Mike.
And this week we're covering all of your favorite franchises, New York Comic-Con reveals, and I guess maybe not so much reveals, just maybe reminding us things still exist out there, including Mike just got to watch right before this a leaked Daredevil teaser from the show floor.
Yes, Chris is always bringing me the leaks.
That's right. I'm not going to touch that one. I feel like we could have gone down the road, but I'm not touching that one. A gory look at Creature Commandos. Actually, there's a trailer for that in here, Mike. We might have to watch it on mute and skim through it in the background here when we get to it. Unless you've already seen it, then in that case, kudos to you. We're going to take our first look at Star Wars' new droid and skeleton crew. Because you got to have a new show, you got to have a new droid, Mike. That's how Star Wars works. And this one seems to be a little less friendly, but I'm excited to talk about it. And more.
Star Wars, I feel like, is desperately hunting for the next, kids' toy. Every show, the droid gets, smaller and cuter or has more personality. But they gotta make the show that it's in good. Because I feel like they keep making these shows are not popping off. So the toys aren't going to pop off, unless you have the show.
Well, I mean, I think, I know people don't love Obi-Wan Kenobi, but that little droid that young Leia had was very, very popular. The little, the disc one or whatever that flew around with her. Mm-hmm. I know that was a very, you still see those little ones in the stores, but I'm going to say the droid we're about to take a look at, and I guess we can jump into it unless you have anything else, is very much the opposite of tiny and friendly looking. So,
well, let's take a look.
Okay.
I will pepper in any other thoughts I had on the musings of the week throughout the show.
So I'm actually going to swap things around because I've added some stuff in here. So it's New York Comic Con this weekend, folks. New York Comic Con is going on this weekend, which means we don't get as much as we would normally, I would say, in a San Diego Comic Con weekend, but it's still enough to be some pretty good bits of entertainment information.
I would love to go to New York Comic Con because I get the vibe of this is what San Diego Comic Con was like before it exploded into an absolute media frenzy. Mm-hmm. I think the proximity to Marvel Comics, and I think DC Comics is in New York, or maybe they were, maybe historically, I'm not 100% sure, but it just feels like a very comic book town. So I feel like I saw a ton of comic book news in my feeds over the weekend, so I feel like that's where they save a lot of big announcements to go there.
Because it's just going to go down the street.
It just, yeah, exactly. So it just, I don't know, it just kind of feels a little bit more nerdy and wholesome in that way. But you still get all the cosplayers, you have all the hype. I don't know if this was just released to synergize with a Comic-Con weekend or if it was actually there, but there was two separate individual werewolf / wolfman things that were announced this week, and I'm pretty captivated by both of them.
So it is, I will tell you, it is because Venom is coming next week before Halloween, and they want to get in front of Venom.
They want those trailers out. Okay.
Yeah.
The first one, which is maybe a little bit more sophisticated, is The Wolfman, which is a Blumhouse movie, and I think they're slowly trying to grow a franchise off of their first installment of their kind of monster universe, which was The Invisible Man.
So
that was very much like a cycle.
Well,
is it the same director?
It's the same director. Lee Winnell directed the first one and this one.
Okay. Well. That makes more sense. Okay, I haven't seen The Invisible Man. I've heard great things about it. I think it was Elizabeth Moss and very psychological thriller-y. So,
no, that's
I mean, we were just talking about Hellboy, kind of like this, the indie version of Hellboy last week, and I feel like this is kind of what Blumhouse is doing. We could make our own kind of monster franchise movie, but on a budget, and we'll kind of
slowly
roll them out until we have a nice little box set that we can sell one day for Halloween.
Well, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the Universal monsters or monsters that are out of copyright as well. I believe, right?
Yeah.
So you can.
I'm sure there's Yeah, I'm sure there's some sneaky ways to enforce parts of the lore. Like I wouldn't be surprised if somebody told me like, oh, the Bride of Frankenstein is like still under copyright, but Frankenstein isn't.
Well,
just an example. I'm not.
We've got the Bride
sure.
of Frankenstein in Creature Commandos later, so we might go either.
Oh
way.
yeah, that's right.
But,
but the biggest, flashiest trailer that I had to put on our thumbnail because I'm just so enthralled with the creature design because it's just so back to basics is the movie coming out. I think it's just called Werewolves or The Werewolves. I don't know. There's so many movies and shows out right now that I don't know if the word "the" is in front of them or not. So we're just going to call it Werewolves. And I guess Frank Grillo is now a household name finally because his name is splashed all over this trailer. And I didn't realize he was at that level in his career, but good for him. But this is like Werewolves meet the Purge. And it just looks like like I was saying, it looks like a nuts and bolts movie. They're like, people know what werewolves are. Let's just make a movie about them. Let's throw in a spice of the Purge so we can get it greenlit because nothing gets greenlit out here anymore unless you can compare it to something successful. And it just looks good. Like I'm sure it's probably gonna be cheesy. I'm probably gonna roll my eyes a couple of times, but like it just looks like fun and creepy, and the werewolf looks cool. So I don't know if you saw the trailer or not. I sent it to you, Chris. So I gave you homework.
No, I didn't because I don't care for Frank Grillo. He's much like my Anthony Mackie as well. I don't care for anything or what he does, other than if he's around Captain America. But are you?
Let me describe the plot of this movie to you because they have to do it in the trailer.
But just are you saying the Purge because Frank Grillo was in the Purge? Is that why you're bringing that up?
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't realize he was.
He was in both. He was in two Purge movies. That's why I was like, oh, is he saying that because he was in there, or because it's similar to that?
Maybe that's why his name, his name, like in gigantic red lettering, takes up an entire frame of this trailer, like expecting people to know who he is. I mean, we know who he is because we talk about him all the time when it comes to the Avengers universe and stuff, and he's always like punching Captain America in the face, either as Crossbones or not.
And he will be in.
I wasn't expecting.
Well, he's in DC now, right? Rick Flag Sr. He's literally the voice of Rick Flag Sr. in Creature Commandos and in Superman movie. So, yeah, you're probably right. He's probably everywhere.
Yeah, no shade. I mean, great. He's got a great agent. He's making great deals. He's trying to make himself a household name. I'm here for it. Great. But the plot of this movie seems really, really crazy, where it opens up with text on the screen that's basically saying 1 year ago, a ton of people all around the planet all turned into werewolves, and nobody knows why. And basically, havoc happened for one night. I'm sure a bunch of people died, and everyone turned back to normal. And then it says, now it's been 1 year later, and it's gonna happen again. So it's like the Purge, but like everyone's turning into werewolves, and it seems like some people do, some people don't. They don't know why it's happening, but they know when it's gonna happen during like this like super full moon or something like that. So everyone's preparing and putting barbed wire around their houses and everything. And it seems like there's maybe two competing stories going on. They keep showing shots from like, you know, people in rural areas and like their houses and living rooms, and then they're showing shots of like a science lab where they're experimenting on people, trying to figure out why it's happening, and then the animals break out of their cages and it goes crazy. So it just looks like batshit crazy, and I want to see it, but I just wasn't expecting so much werewolf content for the show this week, but I wanted to bring it because I'm getting Halloween vibes. I'm getting very retro Halloween vibes this year.
It was also full moon on Friday. Maybe that was part of it as well. Because I ended up going out of town Friday and I got up early and I saw the full moon in the sky, like, you know, like when the sun's still coming up and it's like it's light out, but not like, and I was like, man, this is crazy. But it's also interesting to me that this movie Werewolves and the Wolfman, one's December, one's January of this year. Why would they not try to put it into the October range? If I was
that is, I don't know.
To release a horror.
That's a good question.
You don't have to, but I know a lot of horror films have come out. Like Terrifier 3, I think was this week or last week. So maybe they're trying to outcrowd it, but that is interesting for that. But yeah, Lee Winnell, he did some interesting stuff with the Invisible Man, and I think I'd love to know what he is bringing to the Wolfman in January as well. All right. Let's get into Star Wars. We're going to come back to Star Wars because we were going to talk about it. So the New York Comic Con, and I believe it's a magazine thing. They have a Empire are showing off one of the new droids, and it's called SM33, and he's essentially inspired by the character Smee in the Peter Pan Captain Hook lore. I honestly wasn't, he's got one eye out, the other one's lit up, but he is a bulky looking kind of scary dude with this red background here, like a ship has been overgrown by like vines or something.
Yeah, like is he covered in vines or are those loose wires?
It's vines.
At first I thought it was wires, but yeah, it looks vine-ish.
Yeah, it looks like he's like in a ship, corridor, and it's like kind of maybe been overgrown a little bit. So I'm interested. I don't know if he's a good robot. Maybe this is where he intros and he's a bad one, or we're supposed to think he's bad and then he's good. But this is much, I've not seen this design, I guess, in Star Wars. It's similar to the K2SO, but maybe short and stockier along the way.
He looks nostalgic to me.
Yeah.
This looks like the hottest toy of the holiday season to me, Chris.
Yeah. Well,
got one little light bulb glowing in his eye.
Well,
he's got some.
He's
got some bad posture, but I love it.
He looks again. A lot of older Star Wars and Marvel, DC, everything in the past few years was very green screeny and volumey. But this guy looks like a real droid they have on set, and I would not be surprised come January to find this dude on Disney parks, like them have a droid walking around the parks or set up in Star Wars Land where he interacts and moves around. So I'd be interested to see him in action. And then the other part of this, they went on to kind of confirm the director list outside of the showrunners. So we knew before that Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert from Everything Everywhere All at Once were directing an episode. They went on to confirm that Bryce Dallas Howard, Lee Isaac Chung from Twisters, David Lowery, the Green Knight, and Jake Schreier from Thunderbolts are also directing episodes of the show coming out in December. So,
all right,
seems like a pretty cast of directors. Some of them, sometimes I'm like, I don't know who these people are, but I'm like, oh, I know actually all of these names. So, I'm excited to dive into this. I guess it's really kind of like just nothing adjacent to it, Star Wars. So, we'll be keeping you guys posted as we get through that in December. But you can check out again for all these links and stuff, images, we have them in our show notes as well. You can go take a look at that. Moving on into the Marvel realm, announced pretty early on this week is a Disney Junior show called Iron Man and His Awesome Friends, which features Iron Man, Ironheart, and Iron Hulk. Iron Hulk is Amadeus Cho, not our regular Hulk. And it is essentially in the style, and I don't know if it's a spin-off, it's got a different voice of Iron Man, of Spidey and His Amazing Friends. So I know your child is too young to see this yet, but I imagine this might be in your household in a couple of years.
Yes, I suppose there is a chance. It's what happens first. Will my kid be watching Disney kind of XD style shows before this one gets canceled? Because shows historically either get 3 seasons or are on the air forever. Something tells me that this one maybe will last just as long until the kids age out of it. I've never Googled Iron Hulk before.
Yeah.
And I just did, and there's some crazy Red Hulk and Iron Man armor, which looks pretty cool. So that if that's all the news has given me this week is just this image of a Red Hulk and a mustache and armor, I'm okay with that.
It's okay. We got more Red Hulk to look at as well. So that's why I know a lot of people. Spidey and His Amazing Friends has 2 seasons. His third one is coming out this year. And I know we have friends who listen to the show, have kids who just love this. The theme song by Patrick Stump of Fall Out Boy, the kids really get into it. So I've heard really, really good things from the age group. This isn't for us. We're not sitting down to watch these shows. That's fine. I know that. But it is interesting that Spidey's Amazing Friends, Spider-Man's kind of universal, right? We talk about Batman, Spider-Man. Kids of young ages know those characters when they see them. Iron Man is a little different. I think it's a little bit of a stretch for that, but from what I read, that each character has their suit has their own power. One has a power Iron Hulk has a clap thing, and Ironheart has a shield bubble, and Iron Man has I think it's some sort of repulsor thing. So they're really leaning in this. I can imagine like maybe mobile games or like kid-friendly games kind of coming out with these characters as well. But it makes me think we had rumors that Amadeus Cho was going to be in an upcoming movie, and the fact that he's coming into this, maybe that news got conflated here a little bit is what I was kind of thinking out of that. Oh, the other part of this is it will also feature Vision as the person kind of running like their Alfred at their base, and then a new dog called Gamma who has an Iron Pup suit, which I would love to see what an Iron Pup looks like in this world. I think it's interesting. As I mentioned, our cat had her leg removed a couple weeks ago, and she had her stitches out Saturday. So to help her, because they had obviously have to shave her to do the surgery in that area, we got her a little sweater, and she's been wearing her purple sweater all weekend. I was like, oh look, maybe we could get like a Iron Man armor, have a lion cat running around with her fourth leg. But
that's the only way to do it, man.
It is. It's how we tie it all together. Throw my money at them. Moving into the MCU side of things, we got our first look at a New York Comic Con banner that features Herbie, the upcoming robot from the film, and he's got his hand on his hip, and boy does he look sassy, Mike. He just looks like he's full of attitude here.
Now, is this the toy of the holiday season?
Well, I'm
going to say that every time I see a robot.
This will not be this year.
I mean,
so.
He's adorable. Do we have voice casting for this character yet?
I don't think so.
I don't remember.
I do not
like
think so.
I mean, I just default every robot to like Alan Tudyk now because
Right.
it seems like that's his bread and butter. Mm-hmm. But I would hope maybe they would do something a little different.
It's Paul Walter Hauser was cast, and we don't know what he's gonna play yet.
Oh,
I think he just did that voice casting for Inside Out 2, like the 3 lines he had in the show.
I love that guy.
The other person is John Malkovich, that we don't know what the role is. So could be either of them. And then also next to him, we have another link on this big Marvel banner shows the Human Torch in his like fully flamed on mode. It's not like more concept art. It's not like a full photo, but it is fun to see these old suits. We've seen the concept. We'll talk about another here, but the vertical lines through the suit, right? That they used to have in comic books.
Yeah, the classic kind of like, I don't really know what the artistic intent was, but I always kind of saw those black lines as almost kind of like char, kind of like grill marks in a way of just like, oh, he's really hot. There's parts of him that are black.
I think it's kind of like, to me, it looks like heat rising, right? Like whenever something I know what I'm trying to think of here. A chimney gets hot, and you see like the black inside of it as well next to the red, like you mentioned.
Yeah. It's cool though. Yeah. He looks great.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that kind of, like I said, all this in action. And then earlier in the week, there you got some on-set photos of I forget the actor's name. He was Eddie in Stranger Things, but he's on.
You can just say Eddie Munson.
Eddie Munson, yeah. But it'll be obviously it's the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, not lit up, but he's in that suit there, just kind of like on a beach somewhere. Looks probably maybe
it's like an album cover.
Yeah.
Like if you crop it in a square and you put like the parental advisory down in the corner, it looks like the hottest album's about to drop. Yeah.
But it's interesting. Obviously he's alone on the beach side. No one else is with him. It could be like an introspective moment or something. I don't know. But obviously he's got a suit. He's got his powers, and we're not gonna have to worry about that. But it is fun to see that very white and blue, those 60s style suits. Every time I can get a photo of them, I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good. I'm excited to see the trailers. They keep filming with that. But we have not heard anything else out of Fantastic Four out of San Diego Comic Con, so that's kind of sad, but we'll take what we can get. Moving on, we have the New York banner, the New York Comic Con banner has a Harrison Ford's Red Hulk. Obviously, they are not shying away from this, Mike, as we talked about. They are literally saying Harrison Ford is in this, and he's going to be a Hulk. So get out and see it. But I just imagine a very this is just Harrison Ford on a normal day. He was just mad being there on set, and they're like, all right, we're going to photo this and then turn him into the Hulk a little bit here.
Yeah, this is what happens when someone asks Harrison Ford who shot first. He turns red, and he's just like, enough. Get out of here.
I wanted to die in Star Wars. I wanted them to kill me in Star Wars. Stop asking me.
I don't know. I think I prefer the interpretation that AI generated that you sent me. that poster that
Yeah.
had Red Hulk in the background, and he had like that pointy coned face. It was so
it was
weird.
so
He looked like
melted.
a goblin.
Yeah, and
A melted goblin.
like a frown the size of his, like as wide as his face. So Mike's talking about, so on the internet, I hate this fucking internet. There's like all these like Facebook posts or groups or like, you know, even ads and like, oh, Thunderbolts 2024 with Ryan Reynolds and Sebastian Stan. I'm like, okay, you're half right. And then the image is just a bunch of old art or photos clipped together that includes this very awful Red Hulk, Abomination, Baron Zemo, the Punisher from Netflix, the Vision, and Ghost Rider and Deadpool. And I'm like, this is awful, and I feel bad for anyone who's going to look at this and think it's real. So, I just hate it. But yeah, like I said, Captain America: Brave New World, that's coming out, I think, February-ish? February, March. And I think we're probably going to get another trailer, December-ish, beforehand. I think December would be a good window. Maybe, what do they used to do? Is it Thanksgiving Day or parade trailers? Didn't we have some of those in the past where they were like,
oh gosh, yeah, I don't remember.
Because we're like, oh, they want people talking about it at Thanksgiving, kind of thing. So.
Oh yeah, that's usually our theory going into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see if they do anything with that. Kind of along the way. So we'll keep you guys posted as we get closer to that, because that is I'm not counting Venom and Kraven because they're not really Marvel movies. Our next real big, studio movie for Marvel and DC would be Captain America. Shifting gears back into the street side of things, Daredevil Born Again, New York Comic Con has confirmed that is a March 4th, 2025 release on Disney Plus, Mike. No more guesswork, no more windows. We're coming out March 4th with Daredevil Born Again. And I'm going to guess, like all their other shows they've done lately, it's going to be a 2-episode premiere. I mean, I could probably bet that right now. It's going to be 2 episodes day one for the show.
Yeah, sometimes the 2 episodes help. This will be the moment in which I pepper in one other thing I've been watching, and I told you to watch, Chris. New show on HBO called The Franchise, which is about a fictional superhero comic book movie franchise, but it's following the people on set trying to get one of the movies produced before it gets like canceled by this kind of studio's version of Kevin Feige. It's really funny. They really lean into the whole drama that we kind of talk about all the time on this show, of like when things get canceled and moved around and reshoots and everything. It's really, really funny. It's a really cynical take on Hollywood, but it's kind of supposed to be. I think it's from a similar creative team that did Veep, so they're kind of familiar with the what HBO likes in a way. So that's just been on my mind, the production of all this stuff, and also they should have aired 2 episodes of that one, because that doesn't really start picking up until episode 2 of the franchise. So this is my plea to everybody to tell you 2 episodes are available now. We're recording on a Sunday, so the 3rd one's going to drop tonight. Go watch the franchise; it's great.
Yeah, you're the second person to tell me that, and I also the whole I've seen the trailer from it, it's actually Daniel Bruhl, who played Baron Zemo, is in it, right, as one of the characters. And
yeah, he is he's the director of the movie that they're trying to make.
Yeah, and it's also got Richard E. Grant from he played the old Loki, and Aya Cash, who played Stormfront in The Boys. So like they are people.
Oh yeah.
Who are
You're right.
familiar with franchises, right, in superhero movies, so that's pretty funny to be that meta. Back to Daredevil Born Again. Official synopsis was dropped. It says, in Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again, Matt Murdock, a blind lawyer with heightened abilities, is fighting for justice through his bustling law firm, while former mob boss Wilson Fisk pursues his own political endeavors in New York. When their past identities begin to emerge, both men find themselves on an inevitable collision course. So sounds like it'll be, hey, we're doing our own thing, we're not bothering each other, and then boom, they're running into each other.
We already mentioned at the top of the show that we have a leaked trailer here that I had a chance to watch thanks to you, Chris, and it looks hype. nothing is surprising, unfortunately, because when you're out like in the mean streets of New York, filming a TV show, there's eyes everywhere. So we kind of already knew what everything was going to look like and be in this TV show. But it's nice to see it kind of all edited together in one kind of exciting package. Mm-hmm. So I haven't jumped back into the world of Daredevil in a really, really long time. I mean, once the kind of writing was on the wall for the Netflix show, it's kind of like, oh, why should I commit time and watch anymore? But this is good. It looks like if you committed to watching that third season, back in the day, mm-hmm. You're going to be seeing some familiar faces.
Yes, I need to watch the third season. That is my homework before March. Now that I have a date, I'm like, okay, I can come through those 13 episodes. But it was nice to see, in this trailer, we get to see a little brief thing of the Punisher. We get to see, Daredevil's multiple helmets again. One of the things there was this different trailer, which, like you said, it doesn't feel. It's fun to see new stuff, but it's not like that new. But it was a bunch of White Tiger references. The character White Tiger. You get to see his suit. You get to see his mask. He's a character. I believe that it's like a vigilante. I think he's killed or accidentally kill somebody doing vigilante stuff that causes like the whole vigilante justice thing to come back up because Matt's talking to him in jail. Let's see, he's probably not dead if he's talking to him in jail. So it's gonna probably lean, as we've talked about before, heavily into Wilson Fisk rallying against vigilantes on the street and trying to bring that. So it's always fun. There's a scene that we've seen a couple times of Murdoch and Fisk in it's like a diner, like a very dingy diner where they're doing like if you do something I'll watch you, and Fisk is like, is it you or your Daredevil talking to me kind of thing. So I'm excited to see them back on screen together, right? Like that's gonna be fun to see that dynamic. The other thing at New York Comic Con, obviously they do a lot of they do the suits, right? The costumes for people, and I looked at this and I just looked at it, I'm like, nothing about this suit looks like I haven't seen it before, Mike. It looks like it's very much just a straight continuation minus a few upgrades from the Netflix days of Daredevil. I don't know if you saw anything out there, but we did see, on the teaser and that trailer, there's multiple helmets, so I assume there's going to be at least 4, maybe 5.
I just scrolled past some official posters for the Daredevil show, or at least they look official. They're extremely well rendered. And there's one that looks very similar to one of the Netflix posters where it's just the helmet kind of tilted over and there's like kind of paint or something dripping off of it. And then there's one that has the lineup of all of the posters. They look great. Mm. I think this is fake. Well, not fake, but there's like an art by tag on it. Either way, the show is now activating the fan base. People don't make fan art if they're not excited.
Yeah. And people have been rallying for Daredevil for years too, so that's a big win for them. So that's what we have there. Again, the leak trailer link is in our show notes. If you want to watch it, it might get taken down. Maybe they'll release something fairly soon as well. They tend to wait a couple weeks and do something, do another release. Deadpool and Wolverine. The rumors are there are early talks for a sequel at Marvel Studios. I think this is like a rumor everyone's going to make because this movie just made so much money and it was critically loved, financially loved. Yeah, obviously they're going to talk about, do we want to do a sequel or not, kind of thing. There's no guarantee a movie does that. Again, look at Joker versus Joker 2, $1 billion movie versus a movie that's floundering at the box office right now, right? So doesn't mean you're going to capture lightning in a bottle twice, but it doesn't hurt to talk about, hey, do you want to be rich forever? Let's make some movies. It's
kind of curious. You go, what does a final or even a next Deadpool installment look like, right? I would think, how many movies can you make with Deadpool? You could probably make a couple more, right? But it seems like there's some artistic integrity with Ryan Reynolds and that team over there in a way of, we don't want to overstay their welcome. They've already hit the trilogy mark, so this could theoretically be a good place to stop. They're lucky that they have this meta character that technically could just make fun of the fact that they're sticking around too long. Yeah. I don't know. It makes me jump to what is the last Deadpool movie looking like? And I would think that there would be fourth wall breaking, things where he's saying like, hey, I'm looking for a replacement. I want to go do other things. I don't want to just be working at Disney anymore. And then it's Deadpool actively looking for like a successor or something like that. Maybe it could be like a Gwenpool or I don't know. But I mean, is Wolverine in it? Is Wolverine in the next one? Is that just
I wouldn't know. I mean, I think these characters. So what I like about the Deadpool movies is they're all really good movies. What I don't like is they're very loosely connected to each other, right? Like, one stands alone pretty good. Two is like, my girlfriend died, and I need to go. I want to kill myself now, and I've given up, and I've got to train this kid. And the third one's like not even related to any of that, right? Like those characters are just ancillary. So the fourth one was like, do you take this kind of happy ending for these characters and try to make something else? Because like Wolverine and X-23 are there. Is it an X-Force movie? Like, do you bring the Gambit and the Blade into the next Deadpool and Wolverine and make it an X-Force style film? But like, what are they? You bring up a good point. What are they doing? What's the end goal here? Why are they back? Because they kind of end on a good note. We don't. If they never come back again, I'm happy with it. But obviously, we will have them in probably Secret Wars. But I wouldn't even know where to start, man. Like, that's just. I wouldn't know what to do with them, to be honest. So, but what they do know to do is add them back to theaters, despite the fact you can buy Deadpool and Wolverine digitally for like what, $20, $25. They put it back in 500 more theaters this weekend. So it's making even more money for them. People went and saw it. So
yeah, I wonder like what's the motivation behind that? Obviously it's money, and that's what it always is. But are they seeing like analytics on like PVOD that people are really wanting to watch this? So like, let's put it back in theaters, or
they
are they trying to hit like a milestone at the box office so they can kind of put another trophy on the mantle?
I didn't see that part, because usually like, they're trying to push for this. I didn't see that part, but we'll talk about it later. But Joker lost 1,200 theater screenings this week, so the theaters are probably like, no one's watching this. What do we have that will sell tickets? So I don't know.
That's actually I like that reasoning. That's like the most like economical driven argument I think I've heard for re-releasing a movie, of like, there's a hole in the marketplace. There's no one's going to the theaters right now. Let's just throw our movie back in there. I like that idea, Chris.
Yeah, and even though maybe it's not studios, maybe it's the what is it? It's kind of like a union, but it's for like the theater owners kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they were like, hey, what do we have? Like, who will give us something we can throw back in here? Deadpool, Wolverine. We want that. We want it. Can we get it? Kind of thing too. Maybe it's like an ask from down the pipeline rather than up the pipeline for that.
Yeah, so, maybe.
But yeah, Deadpool, Wolverine. We'll probably still be talking about this movie for several years, at least through the Oscar season. That's for sure. Oh boy, Kraven had a New York Comic Con panel, Mike, and it showcased an intro scene and some other scenes with a lot of gruesome violence. Apparently, and I quote from someone who watched it, there are very multiple, very brutal kills in this movie. So they are leaning into the blood, the gore. R rating. It's R rated in America, but like in the UK, there's like a normal R rating is like a 15 for them, but like there's an 18 plus rating in the UK, and it's leaning closer to that one, is what I've heard, when it comes to like the rating system. So, if anything,
they gotta do something to set this movie apart.
If anything,
I guess hyper violence is the.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if anything, I'm gonna watch it for how creative is he gonna get with his kills. Right, we've seen the trailer. There's like the bear traps and some other stuff. So if that's what they're leaning into with Kraven, I'd love to see that. I think Venom, despite it, it's leaned into that PG-13 pretty heavy without going to R. And after again, Deadpool and Wolverine in our movie was able to do that. It's not very gruesome. R. Deadpool and Wolverine's probably more language. But I'm gonna watch it just to see the quote unquote brutal kills, see how that works. But if we hear anything else, again, this movie's coming out in December. We'll let you guys know. I think they had like a 2-month countdown teaser somewhere, like a lad. I'm like, I'm not watching you. You're not worth my time. So we'll keep you guys posted. Back in the Sony stable, I was gonna say it because it's Silver Sable and it rhymes. The rumor is the project for Silver Sable is back at Sony, and they're on it again. And they don't know if it's a big screen or small screen thing. And this is one of those.
Chris, what do we do here? How do we?
Yeah.
Well, how do me and you, convince Sony to knock this off? I would think it's we don't go see Kraven. That's a start.
Yeah.
We don't give them money, but they need to knock this off.
Yeah. So yeah, they're good. So Silver, if people remember, several years ago, I think it was 2019, 2020, we talked about Sony was going to do a Silver and Black movie, which was focused on Silver Sable and Black Cat, and then like 2 weeks before the movie started filming, they like canceled it. They're like, we're not filming. Because the original director, was like, Sony wanted to split the characters up. They want to do a Silver Sable project and a Black Cat project, and they were like, okay. And then they were like, okay, we don't want to do movies. We want to actually do them on a limited series for each character on a streaming service back then. And what I've heard is, and I think we've talked about that Black Cat will be in the upcoming Spider-Man 5 or 4 movie. So but they don't have to do a Black Cat thing, but they're still like, oh, we saw the Silver Sable. It's probably a script from 2017 too, Mike. That they're like, we need to do something with the script, and they're leaning into that. So this is not, no one's asking for this, but I could see Amazon picking it up to run it alongside their, like, what is it, Spider-Man Noir show.
Oh, I mean, there is an advantage that I didn't think about till you started talking about it. If they convert these from being a movie to a short run limited series, they kind of get paid up front in a way where they can just have the streaming service just pay them outright for it, where if they take it to the theaters, they are rolling the dice on the box office, and they've already done that a couple times and it hasn't worked out well. So yeah, I like your way, Chris, of just dropping it on a streaming service, because then I can just pretend it doesn't exist like everything else.
There'll be a small fan base who watches it, and that'd be about it, right? And then within a week, everyone forgets about it, or they take it off the streaming service because they don't want to pay royalties. So, I think if Sony needs to do stuff, do it like you said, do it on streaming. Don't bog us down in the theaters with the project. And nobody knows who Silver Sable is. The only reason I know Silver Sable, the most of my experience with her has been through the Spider-Man video game, Mike. For PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
So other than that, I couldn't tell you who the hell she was or what she was doing. So we don't need it. As I mentioned earlier, I threatened you with some Joker 2 news, and here we are back at it. So in good news for people who are curious about this movie but do not want to pay to watch it in theaters, the digital release for Joker 2 is October 29th, which is I think 3 weeks in theater is all this had. It might still maintain in theaters, but as I mentioned earlier, it lost over 1,200 theater screens this week as well. So they are pulling this from the theater. They are, I wouldn't say attempting to hemorrhage it, but they're just, they are ripping the Band-Aid right off, Mike, within a month, and saying, nope, we'll put it on digital for buy, then maybe we'll put it on Max later. We don't know. So.
If it even gets to Max, I feel like this is let's just sell this to Netflix like we did with some of the other like DC stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if I see this as a ad on my Roku screensaver with like the Tubi logo down in the corner, or like the Pluto TV. Like this is going to one of those fast streamers quickly.
Oh yeah, it's going to fast. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was trying to think. It's just going to be like. Remember when they canned Batgirl, the movie, and they put this out instead, Mike? I could see them like trying to like hide this ever exists. Like they'll put it on digital release, probably due to contracts, but maybe they won't even put it on streaming because they don't want to pay residuals, just in case. They're probably there's someone executive is probably really pissed as it's there, and that's what we're gonna hear. So buckle up, the Joker drama is not over yet. The DCU, James Gunn, I think he might be at New York Comic Con, but he was on Threads because that is the social media app made for James Gunn because he's always on there. Is that the initial projects for the Gods and Monsters DCU lineup are definitely not promised, is kind of what he's saying. And he replied, and I quote, James Gunn said, I said everything we originally announced was still in development, not that it's coming. So it sounds like there is some possibility some of those projects don't even get off the ground, Mike.
Yeah, this man is really trying to hamper or temper down expectations, because I see him do this a lot on threads where somebody will come at him with just the wild, most out of cap, just rumor about something, and he decides he needs to comment on some like random person that probably just made something up. But I mean, it's a good point. He lives in a world of Hollywood where this is how people talk, where, you know, just because something is kind of like announced or like in, you know, process doesn't mean it's ever going to come out, and he's just used to talking like that. So I think most people out there in the world don't understand that a lot of things get started and don't never make it to air.
And I think where I have the problem is they came out with this big announcement. James Gunn, Peter Safran, we're running the DCU. Here's our plan. Here's the projects we're going to do. And then he's like, well, not everything we said in that list is going to be there. I'm like, well, then you should have just tempered expectations there by not announcing 12 things and just said, like, we're going to do these first 4 and see where they go. Because I get it, like, you know, we've talked about, you know, you mentioned to me in the video game world, they put out video game trailers early so they can bring people on board to work on it, right? Get people hyped to work on the project. Now, do you think he did the same thing for these projects? Like, we want to do a Swamp Thing. Okay, who's going to come at me to want to do Swamp Thing? And can we get them on board and make this work?
Yeah, maybe. I didn't think that could be a strategy, but it could be. I'm doing exactly what you told me to do at the top of the show, where I'm watching the Creature Commandos trailer on mute, and it looks really, really cool even without audio. Like, they really nailed this animation. So I just keep thinking, well, this was the first thing that they said we were going to get to see in all those announcements, and it looks like it's at least leveling up to the quality that they promised. So I mean, if they can make this work, this is probably the nichest thing ever. Like, before Peter Safran and James Gunn took over, if somebody was making guesses, what's the first thing that's going to come out of the new regime of DC Studios, was going to be Creature Commandos, it'd be like, are you high? But this looks cool.
Yeah. So Creature Commandos was one of those. So we'll jump into there. And that was written by James Gunn, and I guess maybe not directed by James Gunn. This animation, I think, might be other people, but yeah, it is the first thing. Technically, like we talked about, James Gunn did the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, and I would have said Peacemaker was probably more of a guess, in that it shouldn't have carried over, but it is. But I was watching this trailer for Creature Commandos, our links here, and obviously Frank Grillo is the voice actor for Rick Flag Sr., right, in the yellow shirt there. And it kind of goes to this, but like the characters they're highlighting in there aren't the ones I thought they kind of would be, like the Bride and Dr. Phosphorus and Weasel and the Fish Lady. Oh, and G.I. Robot. And then about, I think it's like 3/4 of the way through, maybe 2/3. It just goes bonkers with how they're killing everybody in this trailer. I'm like, oh, they're actually going to, like, you know, someone's getting shot in the face, and you get to see their faces kind of explode into different pieces. And then Dr. Phosphorus, literally, I think he stabs through somebody with his arm and then like blows them up into like glowy bits. So at first I was like, oh, it's just gonna be like a, you know, we're doing a case of the week thing, but this looks pretty gruesome / gory for a cartoon, and I would say maybe along the lines of Invincible, right? And I'm kind of excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm digging the rendering of the art. Like, I really like the dark shadows that they're adding, the outlines. There's kind of like this, I don't know if it's how to explain the color palette overall, but they're not going for like super bright and cheerful colors. Maybe like we're kind of used to seeing like an Invincible, a lot of primary colors. A lot of this kind of feels like vintage and Victorian at times. But it looks cool.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot of like solid colors across the plate, like on every kind of frame, right? Like there are some that are like detailed, but like it's about 1:14 and I pulled up here, like when they're in the plane, right? They're in a plane they're about to jump out of, and I'm like, oh, all the characters kind of stand out against the background quite a bit. And Rick Flag, his bright yellow shirt is just like a beam in the middle of this shot. So absolutely, I'm excited to watch this. I think, you know, I don't know these characters. They're very unique. They have a, you know, very I wouldn't say out of the box power set for characters. So it's essentially Suicide Squad but with monsters, and I would love to to dive into this. And it comes out December 5th on Max, Mike, so we don't have to wait too much longer to dig our toes in this. Now, is Max the whatchamacallit, all at once drop thing for cartoons, or is it weekly? Because I know like Penguin's weekly right now.
Oh, I mean, HBO historically, which I guess is the root of Max, they were always a weekly drop.
Okay.
So my anticipation would be a weekly.
Okay.
Because I think Peacemaker was weekly.
Yeah, it felt like I just didn't know how they do with cartoons. Like knowing it's an animated show, they may not do it weekly, but yeah, we'll see. So December 5th, Creature Commandos. Check out that trailer in our show notes. Staying in the vein of James Gunn, Superman. He was said this weekend that the trailer is not too soon, but not too far away. And I started thinking like, what's up the rest of this year? And CCXP in Brazil that we always forget about is December. So I'm gonna guess our first Superman trailer is CCXP, Mike, down in Brazil.
Yeah, because I would think the next logical media announcement time would be Super Bowl, which is February, if I remember correctly. And February to me seems too far.
Yeah.
Where December doesn't seem like too soon. So yeah, I think we could be seeing Superman then.
I think we'll get a teaser in December and then a full trailer for Super Bowl, right? Like kind of like we'll get to see Superman in flight, the costume, and maybe some stuff, and then like maybe we'll see the villain and some other like story beats come Super Bowl as well. And then I didn't put it in here. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to relink it, Mike. But I sent it to you. Krypto the Super Dog was revealed in I guess it's not behind the scenes. It was a motion picture that James Gunn put online, you know, the dog looks very much like a Muppet to me, like a puppet dog. You know, James Gunn's like, well, he is an alien. He was defending the dog. I'm like, it's a super dog. It can be anything you want, but he's like, it is an alien dog. Like, it's not like a dog on Earth got powers. He is an alien dog, so he can look a little weird. But I did not expect the Krypto to get a reveal like that.
Yeah, I think the existence of Krypto in a Superman movie is setting the tone for the type of film he's trying to make, and we haven't been that direction with Superman in a while. So I think I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing he said was things that are referenced in the DCU movies, canonize them. So like going forward, like if they mention something or reference an event, that's what makes it canonical rather than just like kind of guessworking as well. So they can backfill a lot of events or reference them about that as well. So we'll see. But I just linked it. Krypto, the super dog. We get to see him from behind with Superman sitting on the moon, looking down on Earth. It's an interesting photo, but it's fun. It's a fun little thing to do. You're not gonna get that out of Marvel. I'll say that right now. Marvel's not gonna give you something like this. Moving into Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, James Gunn said that starts filming in January, and that he saw some screen test footage with the actress Millie Alcock for that, and that he did confirm that the Woman of Tomorrow movie will be based on the comic series by Tom King that is the same name. So cool. I'd love to see some of this. See her official outfit as Supergirl, maybe beforehand. Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's so weird just talking Supergirl news in general before we have the Superman movie here and in front of us. But I guess that's just how it has to work with this universe, right? Things are staggered in development, so yeah, it's just weird. Do you think Supergirl will be something you work up to? But I don't know. I'm liking the vibes so far of what kind of Gunn is putting together, because it's all very unexpected, right? He doesn't necessarily do the first thing that would pop into my head, which I don't want. If I was programming this whole universe, I'd be like, okay, let's make a Superman movie, then a Batman movie, then a Green Lantern movie, and then just kind of go that whole Avengers formula route. But I'm liking this.
I do think the focus on Superman, then Supergirl and Lanterns at the same time is a very interesting approach, right? 3 very much cosmic abilities or like powered people, right? Now, mind you, they all Earth is their home base, but there's like a big space out there. So he's leaning into, I think, his experience with maybe Guardians a little bit with these first three, as they kind of pick them. I do wish we had something a little more grounded in DC. It doesn't have to be Batman. I agree with you. It doesn't need to be Superman, Batman, but like, there's the Swamp Thing. The Swamp Thing movie, definitely didn't expect that. I would love to see something like that in here, because I feel like we're just in a cycle of, we've got a Batman movie coming up from what's his name? Robert Pattinson's Batman.
Matt Reeves.
Yeah, Matt Reeves' Batman. We have James Gunn's Batman. We had Superman. Zack Snyder spent 4 movies, 3 or 4 movies making Superman movies, right? Like, I want something new. Like give us, Marvel may not be the best at some of their ancillary characters, but like, they had Thor, they had Iron Man, they had Captain America, very different characters, right? And they were C characters, B, C characters at the time when they came out. So I'd love to see them bring some of their B and C characters to the forefront, kind of in this first phase even. We don't need to see all the heavy hitters. I was talking to someone about The Flash the other day, and how Batman was in. They did not know that Michael Keaton's Batman was in The Flash. I was like, well, that was like the only thing worth watching in that movie was Michael Keaton's Batman. So, obviously marketing didn't do them justice. So maybe we can get the Wonder Twins, right? Remember the Justice?
Oh, wow,
Twins?
yeah.
Something like that would be interesting. Something really off the wall. So, but anyway, Supergirl warming up tomorrow. If you're not unfamiliar, check out the comic series by Tom King and kind of get a vibe for what they're going there. Lastly, Mike, this was sent over to me by a listener, friend show Patrick. I thought you'd get interesting. So there's a leak for Invincible season 3 is coming February 26th, Mike, and there is no mid-season break. They're going to do all of season 3 at once.
Invincible is the best show to forget about, and then it drops, and then you still forget to watch it, and then one day you watch it, and you're just like, oh yeah, forgot how amazing this show is. Probably not the best type of viewership analytics that you want to see on your type of show, from me at least. But man, I whenever I get around to watching Invincible, I always have a great time. They putting together something pretty special there. I'm curious if they're leading towards like a finale. Did the book complete?
Yes.
So I don't know if they're leading up to that, but I don't know. I feel like now in the day and age of entertainment, I'm just happy when anything gets 3 seasons or more, or especially if anything completes. If anybody finishes an entire story in series form is a monumental achievement nowadays. Everything just gets canceled after 1 season now, so why would I even attempt to watch it? So good for Invincible.
Yeah, I mean, Invincible's been fairly well received. I've not watched anything, I think, beyond the first couple episodes, but nothing against it. Just it's a lot. It's long content to watch. Nothing against it. I think it's got the benefit of having a completed run to follow, right? Like, they don't have to make things up on the go, and if they make changes to the material, I think Robert Kirkman's pretty heavily involved, right, as well, the creator, in those changes. So it's going to be it's great, and I think it has suffered a little bit from what was it, the delays between like season 1 and 2. They were like, we didn't think it would take this long, kind of thing. So I'm glad it's getting 3, and then hopefully they do 4, maybe 5, and call it done. You think 5 seasons probably pretty good to get it. I don't know where 3 is going to end in terms of the story, so I'd be interested to see some comparisons there. It's unlike I didn't put it in here, but I'm just remembering you heard Rick and Morty got like 2 more seasons like renewed. It's like,
oh wow.
They had through 10, and then they Adult Swim, they announced the trailer for season 8. Because I think it's coming in December, and they're like, oh, we're going to go all the way through 12 now. So despite the fact Justin Roiland was essentially canceled himself from Hollywood, his show, Dan Harmon's show, I guess now, is continuing for 4 more seasons after this one wraps up. Or I guess 9, 10, 11, 4 more seasons. So I'm, hopefully Invincible gets to, like you said, see its way through, right? It's not going to cancel halfway without telling the whole story. Do you think, and I asked this, I know they're working on an Invincible movie as well, not necessarily in this world, but do you think Amazon would benefit from wrapping up the series with a movie or a longer form episode, or do you think just continue as like a TV show through the end?
Well, I don't know. That's a whole nother like streaming issue, right? Sometimes you get a chance to make it to your very last season, but they like slash your budget because this is their gift to you instead of canceling you. But I think they want to keep Point Grey and Seth Rogen and his kind of creative production company happy because they make a lot of good content. Yeah. So, I mean, I could see them maybe beefing up their budget a little bit, and then maybe the last episode could be like 90 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, I always feel a lot of these shows, when we know it's ending, the last episode just feels like it just doesn't land because it's so short and has to wrap up everything, right? And I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but like I would love a longer form thing. Like, okay, the last episode's the longest because we want to make sure it ends on a good note, and you don't have that sour like, oh, it just feels like they just got it done and left kind of thing. So maybe they get some benefits there. Mike, that is the episode this week. Comic-Con straight out the gate. New York Comic-Con. We'll probably have some lingers next week as we come back, and anything that didn't get announced, we'll do that. Venom is this week as well. For those going to see Venom, going on Thursday night. To see it so I can get it done with, it over with. I have the weekend to myself, so we'll be talking a little bit about it next weekend. I have seen, and I've told you this. Well, I didn't tell you this. So I have seen some high def images coming out, like screen caps of the movie. That I don't think they're official. So I think someone might leak this movie this week. Is my vibe. I'm like, man, you guys have like it's not spoiler, but like here's the HD version of Null from the movie. I'm like, this isn't in any trailer. This is something that someone has pulled from the movie, and it's not official. How are you getting this? Why is this not available to watch on Twitter yet? Kind of thing. When they use the PC. So.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna keep my eyes open for that. But people want to know what you're up to, what you're doing, where they can find you at.
Yeah, they can read my webcomics at liferewardsrisk.com and pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, find me on Instagram, Valdan87, VALDAN, or come back to here every week. I've got one bonus episode this week, Mike, for our Gen Con coverage of the Avatar, The Last Airbender board game that we got a review copy for. So Patrick
Nice.
Was able to play it, learn the rules, and give us some feedback. So that episode's going to come up this week. Spoiler alert, he enjoyed it. So if you like Avatar, The Last Airbender, it's going to be great. What is the sequel to Avatar, The Last Airbender? What show is that?
Legend of Korra.
Legend of Korra. I was like, it's not Korra, The Last Airbender. So I knew it was Korra. Okay. Because we were talking about, I'm like, oh, could there be more like characters introduced in this game? I was like, because like Korra, and he was like, I don't know, I've never watched it. I'm like, that'd be interesting that you could play with these characters at the same time. But anyway, people want to know more about the show, what we do, where we can give them these show notes and get all these links where you can get all them good stuff at.
Yeah, if you want to see the high def leaked version of Superhero Slate, we give it to you for free. It's called superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find all the avenues we host a show and to get our awesome show notes. So if you want to see all the stuff we talked about this week, a lot of blue links in the notes this week. So head on over to superheroslate.com to check those out. Find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts like this. We got merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Reach out. I want to know what you're nostalgic for when it comes to Halloween, like what you miss specifically as a kid. Me and my wife were talking about like the programming on like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon around Halloween. You'd have the Halloween specials, you'd have like the interstitials between commercials of like spooky vibes, and I don't know, I've been looking some of that stuff up on YouTube, and nostalgia trip hit me right in the feels.
My sister-in-law got one of those little wobbly ghosts from the 90s that goes boo, and I'm like, oh, that sound alone takes me back to like a simpler time, if you will.
Oh, I love it. So, yeah, let us know what you're nostalgic for about the holidays. And we love our super fans. So if you want to be a super fan of Superhero Slate and you want to go as that for Halloween, you have to share us with a friend. You have to share us with a buddy. And we'll let that happen. And we'll be here every week, folks.
That's right. We'll catch you guys next week.
Bye.